Hey everyone, it's Ed Gutowski. I wanted to create a kind of a welcome video to welcome you to class, kind of talk about the books for class, and some other things, generally give you kind of an overview for class. You should know that you are in for a treat. Our class is going to be a lot of fun. The books are really great, and I've used them before, and students in the past, students have really liked many of the books that we're going to use. So this is an English 1C class, and an English 1C class focuses on one thing only: rhetoric and argument. And we'll get into the rhetoric and argument class about week 2, and students love the rhetoric and argument class. It's always fun. One of the things I always like about English 1C is that students always think they know what an argument is, and none of you know what an argument is, so it'll be really fun to kind of help you deconstruct how various arguments work, right? So we'll look at things like logos, pathos, ethos, fallacies. We'll look at some specific types of arguments, such as the Hegelian argument and stasis theory. But it's always lots of fun. So I want to talk about all the books that we're going to use. The first book is This Is Everything's an Argument. And this book I've been using ever since I've basically taught English 1C, and I found that students really like the book. It helps them understand rhetoric and argument, identify fallacies, and then can kind of get into some details about fallacies. And there's some interesting readings in there. There's some great readings about Frederick Douglass. The other book we're going to use is the Siegel Reader Essays. And this has actually been voted kind of one of the best books that I've used in this class, because there's a whole collection of essays that deal with various arguments, and students really like all the essays. And every time I ask the students if I should pick a different reader, they always say no, because they really liked many of the arguments. Now there's a couple of novels that we're going to look at. The first one is called Sinclair Lewis, It Can't Happen Here. And Sinclair Lewis is an amazing writer, right? I mean, he's the first American to win both the Nobel Prize for Literature and the Pulitzer Prize for Literature. And what he does in It Can't Happen Here is he creates an imaginary world in which a sort of demagogue runs for president and ends up winning and starts to establish kind of a dictatorship in the United States. And obviously this book became really popular around 2016 when Trump was first elected president, but then it goes back, because this was really written in the 30s when it was dealing with a fear of fascism, totalitarianism, and communism. And I've been wanting to kind of move on from this book, but what I found in the past is that students really liked the arguments, really liked the issues, and that they were able to relate it to life today. So I wanted to just keep reading, keep using it. We're also going to look at a book on the Holocaust. We're going to look at Maus, which is a graphic novel that deals with the Holocaust. And again, I used it before, and students really liked looking at arguments with Holocaust, looking at how a graphic novel might shape our understanding of the Holocaust. The last book we're going to look at is called The Hate U Give, which again is a book that I'm wanting to move on from. It does deal with issues of race and racism in America. And the problem is that every time I teach this book, I get such great student papers and students' response that I want to just kind of keep using it for a little while longer. I may be the only one that doesn't like the book, but students' response, both in a ground class and on class, has been just really powerful. They really liked looking at issues, again, that deal with race and racism in America. And finally, we're going to look at a Shakespeare play called Henry V. Henry V is epic. It's a play that deals with war, politics, and rhetoric. Again, I know that Shakespeare can be hard for students both online and on ground, but I found that the lesson plans that I made on my online class, students were able to connect to, and they were really able to write strong papers. So I know that seems like there's a lot of writing and reading. It all works out. Our class is going to be a lot of fun. So if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email me. A couple things you should know about our class is, right, that we never will meet in person. We basically, everything is due by Saturday, by midnight. And I found in the past that students liked having that flexibility to work on things all week long. My advice to you is not to wait to the last minute to turn in everything. Give yourself that week, but that's up for you. And any other questions or concerns, just send me an email, and I look forward to week 2. It's going to be a lot of fun.